they're just kind of along for the ride. They're trailing behind, right? So you're going to get this overlap of, this. So where they go up, you're going to do this, and when you're falling, they're going to come down like this. Then when you land, they're going to come back down around, right? So let's do the arms. Save it too. Let's look at the clavicles first. Actually, let me turn my regular mesh back on. So here, I want them to really kind of beat up. Okay, where's my? Can I translate these up? Yeah, see, they're the opposite of what they should be. I want this to come up. This to come up. And at the part where he's coming off the ground, now these are going to, that's when these are going to kind of go in reverse. And you can kind of overdo it here, and it'll look really nice. So I'm building up the tension of the jump right here, right? I can even get these up a little more.
Kind of looks like a boxing pose.
Yeah, it totally is. Because when you're boxing, right, and you're doing this, what do you do after this pose, right? That's when you're going to lay out the dude, right? You can't make that powerful punch unless you build up that energy, right? So it's exactly the same as boxing or karate or anything like that. You're going to have that anticipation, which is why good boxers can tell what's coming, because the dude totally telegraphs what he's about to do. So as a boxer, you want to build up the energy as fast as you can so you can release the punch so you're not telling the other guy what you're going to do. You know what I mean? So here I'm building up the energy, and then here I'm going to release it in like the very next pose. So I want these arms to kind of trail behind here. I'm going to adjust these poses here just a bit. And I can go in and put some in-betweens in here where that's going to trail behind a little bit. But I'm still pretty much relying on the keys that I set before at this point. And I'm a big fan of breaking arms. So watch out. No, when I'm animating, I mean. So I'm totally fine with rotating an elbow in a direction it's not meant to go in, right? For the sake of the pose. If it works right on screen, then it's right. It doesn't matter. I don't ever set limits on rigs and stuff when I do them usually, because I don't want to be locked into reality, right? So some rigs you'll see that they'll lock the elbow rotations or whatever. I hate that. So let me put in some overlapping action on this too. Oh, I need to fix this one. Anybody ever swim in here? Anybody like to swim? So when you do poses like this, it's really close to like swimming, right? So when you go in the water and you dive in, you put your arms down by your side. It's that same idea, right? You're pushing yourself through the water, right? With a jump, it's very similar to a swim almost. I think so. Yeah. So there's our takeoff. Let's see what that looks like. So I just want to look at the first bit of that. So we got the build up and the release of the animate. And actually, I want to fix the arms so that they don't really go into this pose until near the end.
Floyd, you guys don't use Motion Builder on Sony?
We do actually for some projects. We use Motion Builder. Actually, Planet Side 2 is using Motion Builder. There's a lot of mocap in that game. I mean, there's a lot of keyframe stuff too, but you know, for a super realistic game with realistic motions, it makes sense to use mocap. You know, for free rounds where we've got an octopus running around, you're gonna get bit. Try to put motion capture balls on an octopus. You know? You would. They bite. They got beaks.
They don't like have a class with it. I think that would be like pretty easy.
It's too bad. It'd be nice if they did. So I want to get the arms to not come down until later. I'm just going to take that first pose and extend it. So here we get the same thing where we want a nice moving hold on the arms. So even though they're not moving a whole lot here, he's moving down, so these are going to kind of come out a little bit probably. Maybe these will rotate this way. These probably. So when you're animating something like this, it's really open to interpretation, but usually when you're not thinking about how your body's moving and you're just going in a direction, you're pretty safe to just imagine you're trying to push something through, it sounds really strange, but imagine you're trying to push something through Jello, right? So you've got like, let's say you've got a string and you're trying to push it through Jello, right? It's not going to really push, it's going to react to the Jello, right? So when I'm moving this guy down and I want his arms to do something, I'm just going to let them kind of come up and out a little bit, like they're kind of resisting going down. Right, so they're kind of aiming back to where they were, so you kind of get this like release of tension, right? So like as these are coming down, I'm gonna rotate these out a little bit like this. Maybe they're down more like this to start. And then in between here, I want to get some nice overlapping action on these. So I'm gonna, I don't want them to just all of a sudden hit everything on the same pose. So I'm gonna offset these a little bit so that it looks better. So then maybe these will lag back a little bit. So I'm just trying to get natural motion, somewhat natural motion out of his arms. So I'm pretty happy with the way that looks, I think, for the time we spent on it. It wasn't that long. So now I'm just going to work on the second bit here, the landing. So they come up like this, and then his arms come down. I want to offset these too so that they hit a little later. So let's get these to what they do. So here I'm going to have them come up like I had on the other side. These to hit much later, so I'm going to back these down here. actually here I'm going to keep them up in the air still. Just until here that they're going to actually go down. Probably this way too, a little bit. Forward. So basically, you're looking for the change in shape between your stretched and your squash, right? That's going to make a big difference in your animation. So I'm going to have these hit a little later too. So he's not going to actually have his arms come down until maybe there. Let's get rid of that key. Get rid of that key there. And these are going to be actually this way now. I'm just going to hit there, maybe overshoot it actually on the way back up here. Now I'm going to let the elbow and everything trail behind on that motion. So I'm going to keep that key. I'm going to get rid of these. So here, this is going to trail behind where it came from. So I'm just going to let that trail back like that. I'm not too worried about how I'm getting from key to key yet. I'll go back in and fix that. Here they'll probably zero out. Oh yeah. And I want to look at this from a couple different angles and make sure my arcs are working, which they're kind of not here. I'm gonna. Oh, I didn't do these yet. I didn't do the in-between. Let me back up a little bit and get this working. So here, where his arms come up, I want these to kind of lag behind. That looks really painful. But in motion, it'll look nice more, right? Maybe I'll even break it more. Like I said, I like to break arms. I'm just looking for some nice motion. Let me save this too. Get rid of these. So here, that's going to point back to where it was. Corner of my eye, the camera, the tripod looks like somebody's arm raised in the question. So if you have a question, just let me know. I probably overdid it with the flimsy arm a little bit, but I went full Muppet on it. It's like Kermit. Get the other side working.
Floyd, why not just start off with spline?
Why not just start off with spline?
Yeah.
Because when you start off with spline, everything drifts all over the place, and you can't really tell, your pose isn't held, you know what I mean?
Right.
So while you could start with spline,
I understand.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything's going to drift, and it's going to be a lot harder to lock down your poses. That's how I started animating. When I first started animating, I went to school for graphic design, not animation. So I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Spline sounds fine. Sure, spline. And then I would try to show it to somebody, and they're like, well, what is he doing here? And it was obvious to me because I knew where I was going with it, but nobody else could tell what was happening. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it wasn't until a little bit later that I started to actually work this way. And it really helps a lot as far as like knowing, letting people know what your animation is going to be like and what's going to be happening. You know? So let me get this other arm doing what it needs to do. So it's there. It's going to come down here. Gotta fix my in-betweens here. You know, and if you take it a piece at a time, it's pretty easy to get fluid motion out of it. You know, we started with doing the whole thing at once, and now we're just kind of finishing it up with fluid motion. So let me, it sounds like a software, doesn't it? Hey man, how'd you animate that? Oh, I used fluid motion. It's awesome. You should try it out. Okay, maybe it doesn't. In my heart, it does. All right, so I'm going to want to get a better pose out of this. I believe I can fly. Let's do. Sequential breaking is the key to this kind of thing. Like, let your arm break at different. I don't mean break like, oh, my arm's broken. I mean like let it bend at different times, right? So instead of it hitting this pose and hitting this pose all at once, let your upper arm hit, then your forearm, then your wrist. You know, makes a big difference. That's pretty much it. I think we're done. So that didn't take that long, right? So if you hand something in like that next week, hey, right? Wasn't that difficult? Basically, those poses and then just a little bit of in-betweening, right? Any questions about the jump? You can listen to House of Pain or Crisscross if you prefer. Either of those will help you animate this. Right? I like the little shuffle step. When I first was doing it, I was like, I don't know how that was. But it actually makes him look a little nervous before he jumps, which is cool. I don't know if I can make it. Dude, why are you so nervous? Did you see how high this is? That's why I'm so nervous. Beautiful. Any questions about anything?
Uh-oh.
All right, so that's what you need to do for next week, right? Just make it the frame length that looks right. So this is only 50 frames, but like, what else do you need? He jumped, right? So it doesn't have to be super long. You just want it to look super good. It's not how long it is, it's the motion that counts. I mean, any questions? Dirty minds. All right, awesome. Ready, begin. The rest of the class is live. Make it look great.